Hello and welcome to a new edition of True Audio Files. My name is Jim Carter. So, I figured I'd take some time today, since I don't have anything to do a sound quality shootout on per se, at least not right this second, nothing I'm prepared for anyway, that I'd talk about, audiophile releases or, reissues and the original source material. And more importantly, how important is it to have the original master tape, at least ones that use tape and not digital source, when it comes to getting the best sounding audiophile reissue, or not even just an audiophile, just a standard reissue? How important is it to use that original master tape to get the absolute best sounding release that they can possibly get? This subject kind of gets brought up or gets broached several times in like audiophile groups and some mobile fidelity groups that I've seen, and it becomes kind of an issue just because everybody assumes that you need to have the original master tape for it to sound its best. And although in many cases that's true, there are also many cases where it may not be the best sounding version of the album. And now, why do I say that? Well, there's several reasons. Probably the most notable reason is just the fact of, if there's a reissue or a release that's been released hundreds of times, prime example being Miles Davis' Kind of Blue. Kind of Blue has been released so many times, and those tapes have been used so often that they're just not in good shape, so you're going to have tape dropouts and things like that. Also, another good example is, if you've watched the Acoustic Sounds YouTube channel, and especially there was an episode with Mike and Chad talking about some other topics that really have very little to do with what I'm talking about here, but not all that much off when they're talking about using playing lacquers and ERC, Electric Recording Company, I think it's called, and their $500 releases. But basically what came up in that conversation was a Love Supreme specifically, because they were talking about a company selling John Coltrane lacquers that are being cut. And they're not being cut from the original master tape. And Chad brought up the fact that that's not necessarily a bad thing, because what they have found is there has been recently discovered a safety copy that was sent to the UK to press Love Supreme in the UK back when it initially came out, and it had only been played a very few times, a handful of times. I don't know if anybody truly knows how many times. But anyways, the original master tape of John Coltrane Love Supreme actually had some damage to it and had some issues in certain spots. So when comparing the original master tape to this safety copy, or, I think it's a second generation tape, the second generation tape actually sounded better. So that one would have been the better one to use on any current reissues that are going to be worked on. So, and that's been definitely the case throughout a few places, and Kind of Blue is one of the example of that, and that is, the two latest reissues, audiophile reissues. There's one from Mofi, and there is a uhqr version, which I've got up here somewhere up there. Actually, I got both of them up there. That one done by Analog Productions. Neither one of those used the original master tape. The Mofi one used a remix that was done, I want to say it was in 2013 or 2014. I don't remember exactly when, and don't hold me to the dates, but it was a somewhat recent remix where they actually went back to the original 3-track master, multi-track masters. That's all they had back in the late 50s. And remixed it to make a new, much better sounding master tape. And that's mainly because the original master tapes were just shot from being reused and reused and reused. So again, in this case, the master tape was not going to sound as good as this remix that was done in like 2013 or 2014. There were actually two remixes, and quite frankly, I thought I remembered which one it was done on. There was one like in the early 2000s and then the 2000 teens or so, and I don't remember which one the Mofi one uses. I think it's the 2013, 2014 one, but if you know, you can by all means correct me. But anyway, regardless, they use a remix. When it comes to the uhqr one, they actually used an old cutting that Bernie Grundman used for classic record, or did, I should say, for classic records. I want to say it was late 90s, early 2000s. And basically, what he did when he cut that version is he took the original 3-track master multi-track tapes like they did for the Mofi one. The Mofi one was a remix done by Sony / Columbia. The Classic Records one, Bernie Grundman actually took the 3-track master and mixed it himself down while he was cutting it to vinyl. So you actually have one generation of tape less on that, so it should be clearer and things on that nature. So again, in those situations, at least for clarity purposes, it's going to probably have a better clarity because there's less between the original multi-track masters and the record. And it sounds great. So it's going to sound, again, better than the original master. I have another example here where this is Miles Smiles, 45 RPM, done by Mobile Fidelity Sound Labs. And this one is very similar to the Kind of Blue one. The Kind of Blue, I don't think they specify what was done on that one. But this one they do, and I'm not sure if it's something that you guys are going to be able to read at all, but it basically says right there in the middle on the very bottom that it was remixed from the original 4-track master tapes by the gentleman at Sony, Mark Wilder at Sony. And I don't know if it was done at the exact same time Kind of Blue was, but it was the same type of process was done. This one, they just happen to have a 4-track master instead of a 3-track master tape. So, again, similar situation. This is an audiophile reissue that sounds amazing. Not taken from the original master tape, but a remixed master, I should say, taken from the original 4-track master multitracks, though. So, another good example also is Queen. Their new box set that has actually been reissued again, from what I hear. It sounds great. It definitely will go toe-to-toe with any of the original pressings and masterings. It's very, very good. And in some cases, I think it beats them. But those are digital masters. And what they did with those is they definitely copied the original master tapes, but there were dropouts and issues with a lot of the tapes. So where there were issues like that, they found another version of the album, whether it be a safety master or whatever it might be, and they spliced in digitally that section of the tape so you wouldn't hear the dropouts. So another great reason why a digital master is not necessarily a bad idea for when you're listening to the vinyl, because in this particular case, as you can go back and look at my Queen review of the box set, there were some cases where I thought it sounded better than the original analog masters, cuts from the original master analog tapes. So the bottom line is this: you need to find the best source. Now, in most cases, or I shouldn't say most, but in many cases, it should be the original master tape. However, that's not always going to be the case, like is the case with, I'm sure, Miles Smiles, Kind of Blue, John Coltrane's Love Supreme, some of those Queen albums. Those albums, it would not have been better to cut from the original master tapes on some of those albums. I don't think it's a situation with all the Queen albums, but certain Queen albums there were dropouts, and I don't remember which ones were. I don't know if they actually even mentioned which ones were when I heard about the discussion of what they did to restore the mastering of those albums. But anyway, just gave you about, good solid 3, 4, 5 examples of situations where trying to use the original master tape as opposed to a different source would not have yielded better results. And in many of those cases, it may have actually given you a worse result. So don't get hung up on using the original master tape, because it isn't always the best. You need to find the best source, and if that best source is a safety copy or a digital transfer or anything like that, that is what you really should hone in on and make sure that you stress as an importance, because you got to go with what sounds the best. And in many cases, it's not the original master. So that's basically everything I've got for you today. I would really love to hear your thoughts on this, what your take is on that. I know that there are a lot of people out there that no matter what you say, no matter what you do, they will refuse to believe or feel that a digital master, if you will, or digital transfer of a analog tape and cut to vinyl is going to sound as good. But don't get hung up on that. Get hung up on what the source is, and if that source is the best source that is available right now. So again, love to hear your thoughts. If you liked what you saw here, hit that like button. If you liked my video in general, please subscribe to my channel so you can see the rest of my videos, and hit that alert bell to let you know when my new videos come out. Also, check out my social media pages. I apologize, this week has been a little dull in terms of me posting anything. I had all the intentions to, and just things got out a little bit busy this week. But anyways, I will continue to try to post on there, but please subscribe to there. Let's have some conversations on those social media pages. And that's everything I got. Thank you very much. You guys have a great rest of your day.